What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? All right, we are live. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok. It's good to be live with you guys. As always, if you got questions on the job search, the job market, feel free to get in the chat. Ask any of those questions, and we will be monitoring the chat on all those channels, including TikTok. So get in the chat, ask any questions that you have. Um, for anyone who doesn't know me, I've been in the recruitment space for coming up to a decade, and I do these shows so I can, just answer any questions people have. I know it's a really, really tough job market. Any of you guys that follow my content will know, I talk about this all the time. And so I figured, why not go live? If you've been trying to DM me, this is a perfect opportunity to ask any questions that you have or make comments on the job market. You can also make fun of me as well. Totally fine with that. But let me know who's out there. Let me know if you are out there on X, Twitch, or YouTube. And if you're on the TikTok live, let me know what's up with you as well. Would love to hear from you guys. Check it out. We got the live on live stream. There we go. But would love to hear from you guys if you're out there. Get in a chat. Ask any questions you have on the job market. As always, if you're a recruiter out there, tell us what you're recruiting for. It's good to know. We like to make some connections on this show. So if you're recruiting for any positions, let us know. And if you're looking for a job as well, feel free to just put in what type of job you're looking for. It's we're coming up to kind of more of a difficult time in the year, I guess, or a slower time in the year for a lot of hiring teams. The holiday period definitely has its challenges, mainly with, I think, just scheduling. But the good news is for you, if you're looking for a job, is a lot of people, I do feel like a lot of candidates slow down on applying for jobs. So you might not have as much competition. And on the flip side, there's definitely companies that are looking to make hires too before the end of the year. So it can be a really, really good time. Mac All Wheels is recruiting primarily Class A CDL drivers. So if you are looking for a new job as a CDL driver, get a hold of Mac All Wheels. Why are tech recruiters so bad? I mean, look, it's gonna depend. So someone in on TikTok said, "Why are tech recruiters so bad?" A lot of that's going to depend on their training, who they work for. I've run into a ton of tech recruiters that are great, um, but just like anything, you're going to run into people who don't really care about their job. Maybe maybe they're early on in their career and they haven't had the training. Um, maybe they're just looking for quick wins and they're working for an overseas agency. So just like anything, you're gonna run into good people, you're gonna run into bad people. Um, but yeah, let me know. Let me know what other questions you have in the chat. And do me a favor, guys. If you are on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, Twitch, or X, just feel free to get in the chat. Say hi. If you're on TikTok, can you double tap the screen? It really, really does help to get the word out there. And if you know anyone who's on the job search, get in there and share the live with them. Really, really does help. One of the things that I get a lot from my content is, even though I talk about how tough the job market is, I do get a lot of people that say it's really, really helpful in terms of just making them not feel alone. So if you know someone who's on the job search, it could be really, really lonely. So it's just helpful to know that other people are going through that as well. But yeah, what questions do you guys have? Again, if you're new to this channel, we are talking about recruitment, the job market, everything in between. I do this show daily, and it's just really to help with any questions you have on the job search. So Sunny on TikTok said, "I've been looking since April for a marketing VP and hire and have been struggling." Sunny, what I always ask is, how many applications have you filled out? Um, and Sunny, and people ask this question all the time. How do I get recruiters to contact me? Number one, you've been looking since April. So you're in the pretty much the toughest spot that you can be in, whereas you've been on the job search now for coming up to 6 months. So most recruiters are not going to get in contact with people, like especially agency recruiters. They're going to be less likely to reach out to you because from their client's perspective, a lot of their clients are going to say, well, this person will just apply to us. And agencies, they typically work on a fee. So the best way to get a hold of recruiters for you, and this sounds really basic, um, really, really basic, but the best way to get a hold of recruiters is to apply for jobs that you're a fit for. Because most recruiters, even if you DM them, if you get a hold of them through email or following up, they're going to direct you back to the application. So you've really just got to apply to a lot of jobs, which is why I'm asking how many how many job applications have you had, and then you got to look at it mathematically. How many applications have you sent out? How many callbacks have you had? And then have you been getting through the interview process? So let me know if you've been tracking that. If you haven't been tracking it, you've got to start tracking it. And then Nicole Stevens, shout out to Nicole. Nicole on X said a lot of advice out there is to directly message the recruiter if you can find them. For those people, I'm happy. How would you advise they craft a solid message? I actually don't recommend reaching out to recruiters. I think if you apply to the job, the recruiter is basically that's what they're going to be focused on. So internal recruiters are going to be focused on who's applied to the job, right? Because if they're managing 10 to 20 jobs, they're not going to be replying to DMs. They're going to be in the ATS looking at who has applied to the job and then making an assessment of who they need to reach out to do a screening call. I think if you're going to follow up with anybody, the best person to follow up is going to be the hiring manager. So in your case, if you're a VP of marketing, you got to think, who would you usually report into? It's likely going to be a CMO. So reach out to the CMO, right? Reach out to the person you think you're going to report into. And if you can do that, number one, most people aren't going to take the extra effort to just find out who that is or try and figure out who that is. They're going to have less messages. They're going to have less DMs. So, Nicole, and then what I recommend is when you reach out to people in general, do not give your life story. Do not give a 3-paragraph explanation of why you're a fit for the role. You will lose them. Give them a yes or no question. It's a lot easier to respond to. And the yes or no question is simple. Is this position, and link the position, still open and active? Right? Because then all they got to say is yes or no. And either way, unless you don't get a response, either way, it's going to help you. If they say yes, great, you got the conversation started. Hey, I'd love to find out more about the role. And if you're fit, they probably will take the call with you or at least move you in the right direction. If they say no, great, you just saved a bunch of time. You don't have to keep on wondering, is this position open or following up? Right then it's not open. So really short and sweet. Hey, I saw this position, link the position in the message. Is the position active or not? Is it still active? And then someone said, okay, so Sunny said, I need to start tracking, but I would say 10 applications per week with only 5 callbacks. Okay, well, look, I've talked about this a lot in my videos. Right now, we are seeing about a 1 to 3% response rate. So if you're telling me that you have applied to 10 per week, right? To me, I mean, I know it's hard, right? For VP of marketing roles, there's probably not hundreds of them on there. But I would say, like, if you got 5 callbacks, you're actually doing pretty well. I mean, that 1%, if it was 5 callbacks and it was 1 to 3%, that means out of 2 to 500 applications, you're right on track. What that also tells me is you don't really have a problem with your resume. You're getting the call back. Now you got to figure out what is going on in those callbacks. Like, is it the screening call I'm falling out on? Is it when I meet with the hiring manager? Like, where exactly are things breaking down? You need to take a look at that as well. I would definitely start tracking, though. I mean, guys, look, there's tools out there which are making this easier than ever. And this is not a sponsored or affiliated show. I've worked with them in the past. I'm not working with them right now, but Teal, Teal, that's a good solution, right? They allow you to track. They allow you to see where you're at in the process. I would look at that tool, and you can get it for free. They've got free features. They got paid features. So that's Teal, Teal. But you need to track it because otherwise, it's just it's going to be hard to really know like where you've applied, where you haven't. and you want to keep track of that. You could also use a spreadsheet, but why not? If there's software out there that's free, you might as well do that. The more context on LinkedIn, the more likely you are to get contacted by recruiters. Okay, so Mad Maddie, you're saying you get 3 to 7 messages a week from recruiters. What type of role are you, and then are you currently working? Because here's the thing, if you're currently working and you have a job, then you're more likely to get reached out to you by recruiters. Okay. If you are working and you have a job, you will, okay. Executive search firms do not charge candidates 25,000. I don't know. They charge the client, the end client, that, they might charge 25K. I mean, if you're a VP, or if you're a VP of marketing and you're making over 6 figures, I mean, they might charge the end client that fee. They're charging you 25,000 to help you find a job. That sounds weird, but I work 2 positions. I'm very active on LinkedIn as a people operations coordinator. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I think now that they're reaching out to you about roles and you're working 2 positions. Interesting. Well, look, I would love to kind of hear more about that. Um, for those people ops roles and like how that's happening. But what I guess my point with that is, though, is if you're working, it's easier to find a job, right? And it kind of goes back to that person who's been looking for a while. It's hard to find a job when you don't have a job. It's just the truth of it. Um, so guys, look, if you're out there on YouTube, Twitch, or X, feel free to say hi. Would love to hear any questions you guys have. And then we've got TikTok going as well. How often should we post on LinkedIn? I've been told 3 times a week. Um, Look, I mean, it depends what your goal is, right? It depends what your goal is in terms of how often you should post on LinkedIn. Like if you're looking for sales leads, if you're looking to grow your personal brand, um, I think 3 times a week could be a solid amount. But look, if you're looking to really build your personal brand and you're looking to build a business, I would say posting as much as possible in general across platforms is the smartest thing to do, because it's competitive for attention. So what was the name of that job tracking app? It is Teal. That's T as in Tom, EAL. Go to Teal, try them out. It's a good time. So same 2 roles as an HR data analyst. Love it. Got it, Mad Maddie. Well, hey, that's good for you. Look, capitalize on that. It's so fun to work 2 jobs. Well, I mean, if that's your idea of fun, I love that for you. um, yeah, I can barely manage one job, but it's all good. Well, guys, look, if you're new to this channel, we're talking about the job search. We're talking about job market, everything in between. I've been in recruitment for coming up to a decade. I don't have all the answers, but I might have some. If you've got questions out there and you're on YouTube, Twitch, or X, feel free to drop in the chat. And then feel free to share this live with anyone that you think might find it useful. And if you're out there, remember to just subscribe to the channel as well. I go live pretty much every day. I've been going live every day on TikTok, but now I'm going live on Twitch, YouTube, and X as well at the same time. Love that, Mad Maddie. Look, it's if you're but being able to stay at home with my 4 kids and my hubs can stay at home is pretty amazing. Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's crazy. Okay, so you're telling me you work in 2 jobs and you got 4 kids. This is a first, all right? This is wild. I don't know. I got 3 kids under 5, and that seems like craziness to me. But 4 kids, that's a lot. So good on you, Mad Maddie. Good to hear that. And then, guys, if you got questions, drop them in the chat. If you haven't gone to check out the website, go to www.therealistrecruiter.com. We got a podcast on there. Got a bunch of stuff, bunch of resources there as well that you could check out. Broden24 on TikTok said, can't find a job in computer science, about to just apply to Amazon under too much financial stress. Okay, what's your situation here? You can't find a job in computer science. Have you just graduated? Give us a little bit more context. Nice, love that, love it. And then Mad Maddie just said it's nuts. 3 kids who are 2 and under. Our oldest is in school, thankfully. That is a lot. That's wild times there. Um, but yeah, Broden, give me some context here. What I would say is if you are entry level is always tough. Like I think entry level has just always been tough. And I think with entry level, it is purely a numbers game, mainly because there's nothing to really compare candidates to. So anytime I've helped out a client on the rare occasion for an entry level role, because typically they don't really need any help. They just put a job out and they get tons of applicants. They usually look at like, is there a degree requirement? And if there is a degree requirement, they're going to filter people for who have, people who have graduated with that degree. So for computer science, maybe they look at computer science as the degree, right? So they filter everybody out. And then literally it's just calling the first 5 to 10 people that match that, having a conversation with them. And it's usually the person who kind of interviews the best that gets the job because again, it's entry level. There isn't as much experience. It's not like once you have experience and you start talking about the work you've done, then you can compare candidates with it. With entry level, there's not much to compare. So if you're entry level candidate, you just have to apply to lots and lots and lots of jobs, unfortunately. And it's hard work and it sucks. But once you get a job, then you can get experience. And then obviously you don't have to go through that again. Although in this job market, no matter how much experience you've had, I mean, we've just looked at our VP of marketing and we were talking about that for a moment. It's going to be tough, right? Um, so I graduated a year ago, not one internship, a Colbet. Um, Broden, look, if you graduated a year ago and you haven't had any internship or callback, I'd probably work on your resume more than anything and try and tweak it. Um, if you haven't had an internship, then obviously it's harder to talk about that experience. But I would talk about any kind of project work you did in college, and then look, you may have to, like you said, you might have to take another job, right? Like whether it's Amazon, wherever it is, take that job. And once you take that job, you could keep on applying. And you know what? Even if you got a job at a company and it's not exactly what you're looking for, you then still have an opportunity to apply internally at those companies as well. And that could be a possible route for you as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, going through the uni, no offense to people who are working in those like college roles where they're helping people, but in my experience, all of them have kind of been useless. Um, but it's worth, Mad Maddie's got some good. Just to give some context, Mad Maddie is getting tons of reach out for recruiters, so definitely would take that advice. Um, but yeah, so maybe try using Handshake. Maybe that's a different way. Um, but yeah, look, again, entry level is just it's a numbers game right now. And most of the time right now with most job searching, unless you're in a situation where you're getting a lot of people reaching out to you, it is kind of a numbers game right now. But guys, if you're out there on TikTok, do me a favor, double tap the screen. Let's get those likes built up. If you're out there on X, YouTube, and Twitch, get in the chat, say hi. If you've got questions on the job search, which I know a lot of people do, ask away. I still get a lot of DMs, so if you've got questions, ask away. And really really appreciate that. And again, guys, if you haven't checked out the resources, you can either go to the link tree, which is on my TikTok profile. It's also on my X profile and YouTube profile, or you can go to www.therealistrecruiter.com. We got some really good podcast episodes. I like to interview people who are leading talent teams, and we talk about a variety of things, including some of the big news that's going on right now. Haven't had an episode in a couple of weeks. I'm taking a break until 2025. But there's really, really good episodes on there as well. I've interviewed people from tech companies to VCs all across the board. So if you're interested about like what actual talent leaders are saying versus people that have never been in HR, definitely go check out the podcast. And then, guys, again, if you've got questions, again, ask those questions. If you're looking for a job, feel free to say what type of job you're looking for. And if you are a recruiter, let us know in the chat what you're recruiting for. Would love to say that. Are there specialized recruiters that connect professionals with speaking panel opportunities? Sonny, I've never heard of anyone doing that. For speaking panel opportunities, you probably need to work with like a PR agent. So if you don't know anyone who does PR, those can be really good people to talk to. Or a lot of people who are on those who are looking for those speaking opportunities. A lot of them are applying for those, so you can apply. Now I know, like, to get on the speaker circuit for like next year, you might be kind of like pushing it on that, because I know a lot of times they like to prepare ahead. But you have your talk down, you have like whatever you're going to speak about. Then they want to have like some sort of like media package that shows like what you've done, and you would just apply to it. You can also get those through networking. So if you are, part of networking groups, you can also land them that way. Um, but yeah, I don't really know any recruiters that hook people up with speaking panels. That's usually it's like a conference organizer or like somebody who's working for the conference that sets that up. Um, what has been your favorite route in HR? Well, I'm not really in HR, Maddie. I'm in recruitment, which I guess technically falls under HR, but very different path. So I'm much more focused on talent acquisition versus HR. Um, yeah, and like I am, with recruiting, there's different types of recruiting, right? Like there's recruiting if you're working for a company internally, which is a lot more, posting jobs, sifting through who applied, maybe working with some agencies or maybe going out there yourself. But a lot of times that recruiting, depending on what you're recruiting for, it's going to make a big difference. Like if you're recruiting for something you're not really a fan of talking about, it's going to be a challenge. If you love what you're recruiting on, I think a lot of people really enjoy that. So it really depends on what you're recruiting for as well. But I would look at like what you're doing within your HR role, and just try and see what positions have more in that. Like I know a lot of people like the HR BP roles because you're working with like a specific team, and maybe you're working with like employee relations, versus the onboarding or payroll, or those other types of areas of HR as well. Day 68 said, I'm looking for a print production position. Was a print production manager for 30 years. So if you're looking for print production talent, reach out to Day. Yeah, we do contract and investment banking instructors, not many full-time role. It's a lot of fun to me. Yeah, look, and it's whatever. If you don't like the conversations, then I think recruiting for those roles can be tough as well. Let's see here. I don't know if there's any big news hitting. Let's see. Spirit Airlines is filing for bankruptcy. We have, let's see. Wow, apparently 60 million people viewed that fight on Netflix the other night. The fight that wasn't really a fight, but whatever. 60 million people. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's crazy. Let's see this one. This one is overpay expansion struck down. A federal judge has blocked a rule that had made 4 million more U.S. workers eligible to receive overtime pay. Interesting on this one. We got Ashley Hurd. Shout out to Manager Method covering this on TikTok. Interesting. Let's see. I've been out of work since March 2024. Day, I always ask the same question. If you are out of work, if you've been out of work for a long time, how many jobs have you applied to? Have you heard back? If you've heard back from people, that I tend to think that your resume is okay. If you haven't heard back from anyone and you're applying to hundreds and thousands of jobs, your resume is going to be the problem. You got to fix your resume. So let me know, Day. Let me know what those numbers have looked like. If you come back to me and say, I don't know how many jobs I've applied, again, that's when you got to track. It's hard to track, it's hard to know if you're successful or where to improve if you're not tracking it, just like in anything. And I look at like the job search right now, it's kind of like a sales kind of position, right? Like your resume is like your marketing document, and then you got to apply to a ton of jobs, and then when you get the job, you got to sell them that you're the best person for the job. What's the most carefree role in HR? I don't know if there is one. I think every area of HR is probably not carefree. Even something like payroll, right? Because if people don't get paid, they're going to care a lot. So I don't know. Anyone out there got any thoughts on that? If you're in HR, what is the most carefree role in HR? That's the question we're getting on TikTok. Anyone out there on X, Twitch, or YouTube got any thoughts on that? Let me know. What is the most carefree role in HR? Um, I don't think there is one, Michael. Are you looking to get into HR? Is that why you're asking that question? Um, Sorry, just checking out this real quick. Um, TikTok, get in the chat. Let me know what questions you have on the job search. It's a daily live show. We go live for about 30 minutes to an hour every single day. Same with YouTube, Twitch, and X. And just follow along because you never know if you're going to have questions. Maybe someone you know has questions as well. And recruiters, if you're out there, always love to hear what you're seeing, what your perspective is. Is the market heating up? Is it slowing down? What are you seeing out there as well? And feel free to say what types of roles you're recruiting on. I know a lot of times we get we get everyone from tech recruiters all the way to like healthcare recruiters. Josh Gomez says HR benefit planning probably most laid back. Management picks the cheapest plan. They just read. All right, there you have it. Joseph Gomez says HR benefit planning. It actually makes a lot of sense to me. Although I mean, I guess like the stress would be like, if you get backlash from employees on that one, but you probably don't. So there we have it. The most laid back role in HR is HR benefits. Um, I love that. Joseph, what do you do too? Would love to hear what you're up to, where you work. Um, so it's always helpful on these lives. If I don't have the answer, then we always find the answer. So that one came from TikTok. HR benefits planning is the easiest role in HR, or not the easiest. It's the most uh, laid back and carefree role. Um, so let me know if you're out there. If you're looking for a job, say what type of job you're looking for. If you got questions on the job search, job market. If you've been trying to DM me, reach me. Just ask those questions. For more resources, if you go to the link tree that's on all these profiles, you can see a bunch of resources I have, everything from some open jobs, some open remote jobs to an AI auto apply tool, which I'd love to get my network's thought on that as well. So Day said, I've applied to over 100 jobs since mid-August. Just had her resume view, and she had very little change. I'll be honest with you, 100 jobs isn't really that much. I mean, if you're seeing a 1 to 3% response rate, 100 jobs, you should be expecting to hear back from 1 to 3 jobs. And that's since mid-August. That's months. So I would up the volume of jobs you're applying to. And if you can't find jobs, then you need to open up the parameters of your search. Just like if you're in recruitment and you can't find somebody who's a fit for your position, that's when you need to start opening up the requirements and start adding in maybe similar industries or similar positions. Well, there you have it. So so you've had 5 interviews, 100 jobs. That's 5%. So to me, your resume is fine, and that's probably why you didn't have to change it. When you've had those interviews, was it like the phone screen? How far did you get in the interview process? Did you just get to the phone screen and they didn't have you? So what I'm trying to do is it's just like in manufacturing. If you had just think about like the job search like a machine line, right? If you're seeing a bottleneck in a process where it's breaking down, maybe a machine is broken, maybe there's something in the process. That's how you got to view the job search. There's different phases. You have the application phase, then you have the phone screen, then you have the in-depth interview, and then you have offer. So there's really like 4 stages. And you've got to see like where is it breaking down? And if you can identify where it's breaking down, if there's a really clear pattern. So obviously the first one would be I'm applying and not hearing back. Second one would be I'm not getting through the screening call. Then you have the interview stages. And then you could start to figure out like what is going on. All right. Maybe in the interview stage, you are over talking, or maybe you're not researched enough. Maybe you don't have, you haven't practiced like answering questions. Interviewing is not, is not easy. Um, and there's specific questions that companies will ask, and there's specific answers they're looking for. And if you're not aware of that, it's actually hard to pass interviews, especially in this market where you might have 4 or 5 other people you're going against. So if you can identify where things are breaking down, then you can start to get better. And the good news is with interviewing It's like a skill. Like you just get better at it. And that's why you have like interview coaches and things like that. Luckily, there's a lot of tools right now which can actually help you. There's tools that can help you cheat on the interview as well, which I won't get into because I'm not a fan of those. But there's also a lot of like these role play AI tools that can literally ask questions that you might get in an interview, and you can practice and you can hear yourself back. You can hear how you're answering questions. Accounting, finance, consulting, and a pitch. Love it. I've had 5 interviews, 3 phone screens, then ghosted, 1 in person, and denied. So I would say like if you've had the 3 phone screens and you haven't got through those, I would start to record those phone screens. Um, that's what I would do. I would look at like, can you record what you're saying? And a good way to do this is either just do the phone screen by your computer and just record the audio, record how you're answering the questions, um, and see how you're answering them, right? Um, that's what I would do. And look, you might need to broaden the search because I know you said you're in like what, like production, printing production. I can't imagine that industry is like got a ton going on. So you might need to broaden your search as well. Um, so those are just some thoughts off the top of my head, but I would definitely record those conversations. I'd also up the amount that you're applying to because if you only applied to 100 jobs since August, that's what August, September, October, November. It's like 3, 4 months. Um, I'm trying to get people to apply to at least 20 to 30, if not more, jobs a week because the more you apply to, the more you're going to hear back from. Right. And so sometimes people are like, well, I can't find any more jobs that fit that. Again, that's why you might need to look at what are similar industries to the printing industry. Is there similar types of work that I could be doing maybe in other industries? I would take a look at that as well. Um, so, guys, we've been live for about half an hour now on YouTube, Twitch, and X. If you're out there, would love to hear from you. If you got questions, if you are curious about anything, you got comments on the job search or comments on job market, would love to hear from you. Same with TikTok. We go live every single day at around 9 a.m. Central. Really just an opportunity to give back as a recruiter. Um, Day 68 said, yeah, I've actually started looking for project coordinator positions. Smart move, just widen it up as well. And you might need to change your resume up a little bit for that. So maybe you have just 2 resumes that you use. Maybe you're changing the job title a little bit just to make it easier for recruiters to understand. Totally a smart strategy as well. So, and then guys, just friendly reminder, if you haven't checked out the resources, just go to the link tree on any of these profiles. Ton of resources on there, including some open jobs, a massive auto apply tool, which if you haven't checked that out, might be worth checking out if you hate manually applying for jobs. And then I've got some other links on there as well. Deals annual report is out. It's their first one. Details everything from like salary and the types of jobs are open. Definitely a report worth checking out. You can check that out in the link tree as well. Hi, do you place for full-time positions? I'm looking for a project manager and would like to change industries. I do. I focus on the construction industry. So if you're in construction, I could help you out. But if you're not in construction, I'm not going to be much use to you, unfortunately. And what I would say too, like people don't really like. I guess and what I would say too is like no one's going to help you change industries as an agency recruiter because our clients don't pay us to help people find people to change industries. It's just not going to happen. Clients within agency recruiters, they're always looking for experience because that's what the clients are looking for. So if you're looking to change industries, right now it's going to be tough because it's more competitive out there. But I would have a really strong baseline understanding what makes someone successful in this new industry, and then you've got to speak to that with your resume. And in this market, it's just tough. Not impossible. It's more challenging. Definitely see a lot more of that happening if you're able to lean into your network. And if you can make some sort, like, especially if you're trying to change industries, I guess that's not as tough as long as you're looking to do the same thing in one industry to the next industry, right? So there's different types of job transitions. There's different industries. There's different positions within the same industry. And then there's the toughest one, which is a different job in a different industry. That one's really hard. But if you're just looking to change industries, might not be too tough. Our ghost job reels, what's the strategy behind companies posting them? Yeah, I mean, look, ghost jobs, they're usually not jobs that don't exist. what I found is there is something called pipelining where companies will post jobs that they're hoping to hire for in the near future. And so, for example, if they were looking to hire 20 software engineers in 2025, they might start posting software engineer roles right now. So they could get applicants, they can get contact information. That way, when they go to actually hire, they've got a little bit of a head start. A recruitment agency will post ghost jobs. Usually it's like they're working in a particular field and they're looking to get candidates so they can market to them to potential prospects. So if you see a job posted from a staffing agency and it doesn't name the client, there's a chance that they might not actually have that specific opening, but they're looking to use your resume as a way to sell into new clients. So it definitely happens. In terms of it just being random jobs that don't exist, you definitely have some scams out there, but I wouldn't say that that's something that's that's happening that much. Usually the ghost jobs are just jobs that they're going to hire for in the future. So it's kind of like pipelining, they call it. Graduated in June, 2 engineering degrees, applied to 400 jobs, had 4 interviews. Again, look, 1 to 3% response rate. Applied to 400 jobs, had 4 interviews. You're actually not doing that bad with it. You just have to keep on applying, and then when you get those interviews, I would say entry level, you got to know about the company. You got to be excited. You got to show that you're going to go in and work harder than people. So if you're getting those interviews and you're not going in really prepared and knowing what types of questions they're going to answer, you definitely want to do that. Especially entry level. Entry level, they are huge on that. Being excited and all the stuff that companies want, right? They want you to be peppy and yes, I've waited my whole life for this opportunity. It's what they want. I'd like to change my tech job to academia. Is it better to apply passively or quitting inactively? David, I would always apply while you have a job. Tough job search truth. It's easier to find a job when you have a job. So keep the job, keep looking. It's also less pressure then. I think it gets a lot more pressure when you don't have a job to find a job. So sometimes my advice to people is like, just get a job so you're not as worried, especially if you got financial obligations. Just take a job and then you can keep looking for another job as well. But that can be more of a challenge. It's just hard to find a job in general. So, guys, I'm going to head out for the day. I appreciate all of the questions, the comments, especially from TikTok. You guys are super engaged. If you've got other questions for me, feel free to check out the link tree. You can also go to www.therealistrecruiter.com. Check out last podcast episodes. Appreciate all of you. And we'll be live tomorrow with more questions around the job search, more job search tips as well. I'm going to end the live stream here on X and Twitch and YouTube. See you guys.